Welcome to Midnight Menu Plus One. I'm Ray Canada.
And I'm Margot Moss.
We're here at Ted's Frost Top on Claiborne and Calhoun in Uptown New Orleans. Once a week, Margot and I meet here at Ted's, and we invite a member of New Orleans restaurant and food community to join us. And we invite them to bring along a plus one, a friend. We never know who that's going to be, and we'll find out tonight, but we do know who our special guest is. I'm very excited, Margot, to have Woody of Woody's Fish Tacos going to be speaking with us in a moment. But wonder in the meantime what you've been up to food-wise, anything since I last spoke with you?
Well, what about you? I feel like you always ask me, and I monopolize the.
Well,
what about
you know what, Margot? I'm going to tell you something. I lost my appetite this week.
Uh-oh.
I lost my appetite over the damn city council and the Go Cup thing. It sickens me, and their disingenuousness about, is that a word? About saying, no, we're not banning Go Cups. We're just, every case that comes up, we're limiting Go Cups. But we don't have a blanket ban. Of course not. That's insane. Why would you think that? Just because everybody's saying it for a reason. So it made me lose my appetite, and I really couldn't eat all week. But I did get back to eating at lunch today. I lost a few pounds. I didn't want to die, so I went to my wife. It's my day off. I try to pretend like I'm happy when I'm not, and when I'm with her, because it's the only day together. And so we went to Surrey's, the original one in the Lower Garden District.
Uh-huh.
And I had the greatest meal. I had it was a special. It was barbecue pork with poached eggs with hollandaise sauce on it.
Ooh.
Over grits they were these grit patties that were, instead of like a muffin, that was made of grits and jalapenos. And it was great because it was a nice size, but it wasn't overwhelming because I would have had to clean my plate.
Was it in a bowl? Is it a plate?
It was on a plate.
It wasn't like something you pick up.
No, and it was perfectly done. And the next table over, these three rockabilly girls, and they were having a great time eating their food, and they just seemed like extra exuberant about it. And I realized it's because they were from out of town, because they had a book that was like a guide to road food or something, and they wanted the chef to sign it, because they've been getting everybody to sign the book as they go. I thought that's a really great idea. You travel around the country, when you go to places that are in the book, you get them to sign it. But anyway, it was a really, really good meal. Maybe I just thought that because I hadn't eaten all week, because I was fasting over the Go Cup thing. But I really enjoyed it a lot at lunch today.
Well, I'm sorry you lost your appetite for a few days.
Yeah, the only thing that could bring it back would be Woody's Fish Tacos, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's
I'm so excited
meet
to have
Woody.
him here.
I've never met Woody.
You've never met Woody. You haven't lived till you've met Woody. and even better than meeting Woody is meeting Woody when he's making fish tacos. So you got to go back and do that really, really soon. But you'll see why. Woody, great to see you.
Great to be here.
So glad you're here. I've declared publicly on this show before, I think it was on the show, that if I got some kind of horrible cancer, or if the city council was to prevent me from ever eating again, they were to ban me from eating, which I think is coming next. I would spend my last meal at Woody's Fish Tacos. I'm telling you. Here's how I know that.
And he's eaten at over 700 restaurants.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
he made this
the man who ate New Orleans saying that.
Now, I'm not going to say that your
Wow.
fish taco is the greatest item of food I've ever had, but here's what I'm going to say about it. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say I've never passed your fish taco stand without craving one. Now, I pass I have favorite restaurants, and I walk by, I'm not in the mood for that today. Every time I walk past the fish taco stand, I go, I want a fish taco. And I haven't stopped every single time. I've been, maybe I just had lunch or I'm running somewhere or whatever, but I never want to turn down one of your fish tacos. To me, it's like a perfect food. It's light and it's delicious and it's just fantastic. So, anyway, and you're a fun guy too, of course, and it's your personality that makes the tacos, I think.
Well, I think you might be the incentive for the the catchphrase for my business, which is "get hooked." Because I have a lot of people saying that they become addicted to my tacos.
I'm gone. Yeah. If you ever shut down, it's over for me. Yeah, I couldn't live without you.
I don't plan on doing that anytime soon.
Good.
So, Woody, when was the first taco, and for you, and was it in this city?
The first taco that I ever made was in my backyard, probably in 2000, maybe even before. I used to do a lot of fishing, and
here in New Orleans.
Here in New Orleans, well, I'd go
from
in the surrounding areas.
Okay.
And I'd always come home with fish, and I wasn't working too much. I was just kind of living the quiet life in New Orleans, and I'd go out fishing once a week with a friend of mine. I'd come back with a bunch of fish, and I'd experiment with different ways of cooking it. And I was spending some time in San Diego, and so I was helping to run a big festival called Street Scene out in San Diego, and I just got into the fish taco culture and came back and co-created it with my partner at the time, a friend of mine who I was living with, and she and I kind of came up with this recipe for fish tacos. And the thing that happened with my fish taco that really set it over the top was we came up originally with a tartar sauce. And what happened is I changed the pickles in the tartar sauce with jalapenos, and all of a sudden it became a remoulade sauce. And I think that's what kind of sets my taco apart from other tacos. I don't tell people it's the best taco they'll ever eat, but I do tell them that it's probably one of the more unique tacos they'll ever eat, because I have never heard of remoulade sauce being paired with a taco before.
Now, this was partly her idea?
This was partly her idea.
So she's like the Peter Best or whatever of the, she got left out of the mix. She helps you come up with the idea, and then now you're the one who's getting all the glory from it.
Yeah.
But I bet you she's doing okay too, wherever she is. Somebody that's that creative.
Yeah, she's doing okay. She bowed out on her own accord. She never wanted the limelight.
Peter Best quit too, didn't he? Didn't he quit the Beatles? He didn't get fired.
Yeah, but I think he was bitter about it after they became so successful.
Yeah, after they became successful, sure. Well, you don't know how she is right now. She could be furious right now.
She could be internally furious, but I think with a new baby in her life, she's got other things to worry about or be happy about.
So tell us more about this fish tacos. How did it become a business?
So the way it became a business, believe it or not, was through this event, Street Scene. Through Street Scene, I used to work with a lot of the food vendors. And one of the food vendors that I met was this Thai woman named Nipa. And Nipa had the 3 most beautiful daughters in the world. And I fell madly in love with one of her daughters and, befriended the mom. I figured that was the way in.
Okay, moms, be careful.
And
if Woody starts taking interest in you, it's your daughters.
Through working this event every year, I think I did Street Scene 7 years in a row. And I befriended Nipa, and Nipa was selling Thai food, and I saw how she operated her food booth. And so what happened was, it was in 2005, in August of 2005. I remember it distinctly because it was about 3 weeks before the life-changing event for all of us. And I was out at Street Scene in San Diego, and what had happened is the venue changed and my job went away. So Nipa invited me to come out and share a food booth with her. And I had the previous 3 or 4 years out at Street Scene, I had been I had been making fish tacos. People would bring me fish. I remember one young lady, his father was a fisherman, and she brought me about 20 pounds of fresh yellowfin tuna. And all I did was make fish tacos the whole time. I had a keg in my little area where I used to drive my golf cart in, and we just had a big party all the time. So
was that for the people that work the festival, or customers that join the festival?
It was for people that work the festival. So
you weren't selling it. You were like providing it.
I wasn't selling it. But in 2005, when my job went away, they invited me to come out and actually sell fish tacos at the festival. So I was a very good friend with the vendor coordinator, and Nipa allowed me to split a booth with her and split the costs. And my partner that I talked about earlier came out to San Diego, and her brother lived there. And together we produced the Woody's Fish Tacos for the first time. In fact, my sign came from that event, the sign that I still use to this day.
Oh, wow.
And, my friend John Hickey, who ran the food vendor program, asked me, what do you want to call it? And I said, I don't know. He said, Woody's Fish Tacos. I said, okay. I don't think I would have eponymously named it, but the fact that it got named that, I guess, fit. And that was the beginning of it. So I came home, and, of course, 2 weeks later, we got smashed by the storm, and I didn't really give it much thought for a couple years. And then in 2009, I guess it was the end of 2008, a friend of mine named Clara, who had gone to the same college as I went to, who I was friends with, convinced me that I should apply to be the Green Plate special vendor at the Crescent City Farmers Market. So in March of 2009, I got the month of March, and I went out and cooked at the Crescent City Farmers Market. And I'm pretty sure, Ray, that's where you had my taco for the first time.
It was at the Farmers Market. I remember that. Yeah, we used to have our staff meeting there every Tuesday morning, and
so I had a guy.
I remember going crazy. I couldn't concentrate on anything else after having the taco. I'm exaggerating, don't you, Margo?
No, not at all, because I had a guy email me today asking who we were going to have on the show. And I said, Woody's Fish Tacos. And he's newly back to New Orleans by about a year. And he said he had your tacos at the Ferret Fest, and he loved it. So I was like, oh, awesome. It's nice when people are taking an interest, and then I say who it is, and they were thrilled. So I believe you. Maybe I'm not saying I need other people to reinforce what you're,
Right.
I believe you, but I was, it's just your name is out there. The tacos are out there.
Now, fish tacos are more popular out in San Diego, aren't they? Because the first time I ever had one was in San Diego. I remember about 2003, 2004. I'd never had one before.
Yep, they are. It's a California thing, and the closer to Mexico you get in California, the more popular fish tacos are.
So what's traditionally in the California fish taco? And I mean, you told us a little bit about the jalapeno, but tell us what that is and how you've made it your own.
The
here.
California fish taco would be a fried piece of fish generally, and sometimes they'll do it with that beer batter, which is a Baja style taco.
Baja.
And they'll put it with a cabbage salad, but usually it's a coleslaw, like a mayonnaise cabbage salad, and then they'll always serve some type of salsa with it.
Is that a Mexican influence?
It's definitely a Mexican
I was
influence.
going to say,
yeah.
you just described the one at Taqueria Corona. That's exactly what theirs has.
Yeah,
I think.
they definitely have a California style taco, Baja style taco. So what I decided to do was make it a New Orleans taco. The biggest part about that, aside from the remoulade sauce, which I already talked about, is the blackened fish.
Yeah.
That's a very New Orleans way of cooking fish.
Right.
Putting spice on that fish, putting it on a hot skillet, and blackening it.
Right.
And it's probably the healthiest way that I can think to cook fish. It's probably the most flavorful way that I can think to cook the fish, and it really like the integrity of the fish really holds up well to that type of cooking. And frying food is not my favorite thing in the world. The equipment is, cumbersome and messy, and it's just a hassle. So I mean,
and it covers up the flavor of the fish
It really
sometimes if you.
I agree.
So
Now, where do you get the tortillas from? How
I
are
get
those
the
named?
I get the tortillas. So about a year into it, I sourced some tortillas, El Milagro tortillas.
Okay.
El Milagro is a company based out of Chicago, and they have they cook tortillas in Chicago, Houston, and Atlanta, and those are really the only markets for this product. And they are no preservative taco tortillas. They're thick enough that you only need to use one of them. And they've got a lot of really good flavor to them. And once I found those, there was a distributor who came into town and brought them into Ideal Supermarket every week because of the influx of the Latin American culture here in New Orleans after the storm. There's a big need for good fresh tortillas, and these were as good as they got. So I started to source those, and so I put in an order for them every week. They bring them in on a truck, and I go meet the truck and pick them up. And,
Cool.
I got to use them usually within a week or two, or else, they have to get thrown away.
Huh. All right.
and
Well-
go ahead.
Looks like his plus one is here. Should we take
Yes.
a pause from this line of
Yes.
conversation
We
and
can-
hear who your plus one is?
Absolutely. Who have you brought with us?
Well,
you
tonight-
tonight?
As I mentioned before, my real plus one is out in the car, but he's not allowed in the frost top.
Is he a crazy drunk? Is he?
No, he's a four-legged furry creature that the health department doesn't like that inside restaurants. He's actually the CEO of the company. His name is Bug Whiteears.
Bug
And,
white ears.
he accompanies me on most events that I go to. But in lieu of Bug Whiteears, I brought one of the more colorful New Orleans characters that I know. The number one oyster shucker
Yes.
in New Orleans, 5-time champion, Michael Rogers. Probably
All right.
yeah. Probably best known to most old school people as the resident oyster shucker at the wonderful Uglasich's. But now he holds his residency over at Casamento's, and
Yes.
they're open seasonally, so we get him in the off season. And I try to put him to work with me, and I brought him up to Virginia this summer to do a festival with me up there, and Michael held court and shucked a bunch of oysters.
All right.
And,
How many? How many? Tell us.
3,000.
You
Whoa.
personally shucked 3,000 oysters.
Yeah, well, we give 2 sacks away, 2,800. 2,800.
2,800 oysters.
Yeah.
Man. All right, I get so
And
many
how long
questions
was the
about this.
festival?
Okay.
And how many days?
3-day festival.
So about 1,000 a day. All right, and you have all 10 of your digits still. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Still ready.
Wow. 1,000 a day. Okay, so if you did, let's see, so if you did 10 hours, you didn't do 10 hours a day. No, you weren't working that long. Really?
We're not
Close.
shucking. We were probably shucking for about 8 hours a day.
So you're doing 120 an hour. So that's like 2 a minute. Like every 30 seconds, you're shucking an oyster.
Oh yeah, well,
All day
Our
long.
savant
It was a
over
big
here is
festival. It
figuring
was
it out.
nice.
Wow. Yeah. Was
That's
that good?
incredible.
I'm really
That
good
is-
at which is incredible. My 8th grade math or his shucking the oysters.
His shucking the oysters, and that
It's
you
actually
can
like
figure
4th
that
grade
out.
math. Yeah. That's about all I got left. Wow. Well, we've Margo and I have talked about when we talk about guests to have and invite. We have these meetings, and your name's come up a whole bunch of times. I just haven't gone around to getting over there to Casamo's to invite you because they're never open.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Funny hours.
Yeah, the hours are kind of funky, but I love Casamo's. But yeah, we wanted to have you, so this is
Well,
great
thank
that we
you.
got a bonus
Thank
now.
you.
We got
Glad to be here.
2 A-listers here. That's great. So what makes you a champion oyster shucker? Like, what's the difference? Why did you win 5 times? Is it speed? Is it accuracy? Is it? I mean, what are the qualities of first of all in the championships that you participate in? What's that like? And then also like in the restaurant settings you're in, what distinguishes a good oyster shucker from somebody that's not as good?
Well, I noticed some of the oyster shuckers that they shuck oysters on the wrong side of the shell.
Really?
Yeah. So shucking on the wrong side of the shell leads you to come back to the beginning where the eye is located in the shell.
That sounds like it's a
So
big mistake to me.
Can you tell me
we
without
had an
showing
oyster
me
here, yeah.
what that means? Like if I'm holding an oyster, do you have to?
Most oysters are shaped like a half a moon.
Uh-huh.
So you hold it back towards your left. And the eye should be in the middle of the center of the oyster, where I go at, to prime it open.
Okay.
And my speed helped me out besides the presentation.
So the presentation matters too, like the style that you do it in. If you have like more of a style to it,
Right.
that contributes
Yeah,
to it too.
because if you open it on the right side of the shell, it's going to sit firmly. But if you open it on the wrong side of the shell, it might just slip off. It's not
So the
gonna-
wrong side is the side where it's not the hinge; it's the other side, right?
Right. You have
Okay.
a deep leaning inside the shell.
So why would somebody prefer that's in a competition? They got to be a professional. Why would they prefer to do the wrong side of the shell?
Well, some of the places like Drago's and Casamentos too, they do shore grill oysters now. That's the thing now. Everybody's trying to do the shore grill. So they
Yeah.
prefer to put their oysters on the wrong side of the shell.
Let's just
Yeah.
Because it
clarify too.
sits better. Because
Well,
then you
more
can,
sauce.
Yeah, now
Okay,
Woody, I
it
know you're an
holds it
oyster
like a
shucker
bowl?
too.
Yeah.
okay.
I can speak to this because I was, prior to being a fish taco man, I was an oyster shucker for a few
Yeah,
years.
more sauce.
And what he's talking about, Michael says the wrong side of the shell is the deep part. There's a shallow side and a deep side. And what he's saying is he shucks it and serves it on the shallow side, whereas
then
a
you
lot
can
of
pick it up
shuckers,
and
whereas
just
a lot
eat
of shuckers are serving that oyster on the deep side
Oh, because
because it'll hold the
char
liquor.
grilling them?
It'll hold the liquor, and yeah,
Oh.
when you're char grilling, you want to serve it in the deep side because you can put more sauce in there, and
And
it's
you
going to
can
slip
slip
off
up
if
with
it's
the
served on the shallow
Oh,
side.
I got it. Interesting.
But as far as the presentation goes, I just learned this, after shucking oysters for several years. I just learned this out in Virginia when we did this festival. Michael was kind of giving me a hard time because at one point they took him away to go do a television interview, and I took over shucking for about a half an hour. And I haven't shucked in a while, and he came
came back,
back
he
and
was
told me
horrified.
he came back and told me I was shucking on the wrong side of the oyster.
Wow. So, okay, I'll tell you what I think a bad oyster shucker is. A bad oyster shucker is when I find those itty-bitty shards of, like,
Shells?
razor-sharp shell in there
Right.
when I'm eating and I don't want to be looking for it, and I pull one out of the roof of my mouth. That's a bad oyster shucker
That's
to
a bad
me.
oyster shucker.
Yeah, that happens to me
Yeah.
sometimes, even in New Orleans. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That never
I-
happens with you, right?
Right. You don't get no shells with me. But I was at a place last week. They had this new thing they're trying to do with the shore grill oyster, but they're trying to turn the shore grill into a Rockefeller shore grill oyster.
A Rockefeller char
So
grill
like
oyster.
a spinach type sauce on it and grill it
And
Yeah.
grill
at the
that.
same time.
Oh, that's different. Okay. How was that?
Besides, normally put it in the oven to bake.
Right.
But I tried it. It was pretty good.
It was good. Okay. So what you're
Uh-huh.
saying is it's an oyster Rockefeller, but it's grilled and like the char grilled oysters are instead of baking the spinach and all
Right,
that. Yeah.
right.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Now, do you have opinions about people's putting sauce on it? Do you
Yeah.
do you prefer someone to come in and just eat it out of the shell? Or are you not picky like
I'm
that?
not
It doesn't
picky.
bother
It
you if
doesn't
somebody
bother me.
So you
pours
put some
on
ketchup on top of it or
and-
something, and you're not going to get
Right.
offended.
No.
I'll tell you one thing I used to do when I
I
shucked
even make a
oysters.
special sauce for them.
Yeah, well, I've had your sauce at Casamentos. The
With
yeah,
the
that's-
olive oil.
yeah. That's good. Tell us about that.
Well, I started doing it at Yugos's because a lot of people used to come in, didn't know how to make a cocktail sauce. So I just started mixing some stuff up with the olive oil. You know, some people use Lee and Perry with Tabasco sauce. So I switched stuff from Lee and Perry to olive oil and from Tabasco to Louisiana.
Yes, that's a big improvement if you ask me. Mm-hmm. No disrespect to Tabasco, but yeah, I like
Yeah,
Louisiana
I thought
better.
that Tabasco carry a lot of vinegar,
Yeah,
and Louisiana is just pure,
it's thicker
pure
too,
flavor,
right?
yeah.
It's redder and thicker.
better.
I would try to encourage people. A lot of times you get someone walking up very with a lot of trepidation looking at you, and you know it was their first time trying an oyster. And usually I tell them it's like you either love it or you hate it.
Yeah.
But the first time someone tried an oyster, I would always encourage them to use nothing more than a squeeze of lemon on that oyster so they could just get a taste the first time for what the essence of that oyster. Say, take one bite very carefully, and maybe 2 bites, and then swallow it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
just to get a taste of the sea. And as far as sauce goes, then I let them kind of do what they wanted to. But everyone's got their own opinions about sauce. I can tell you that.
Did
Yeah.
you learn from somebody, or did you learn by doing it?
Yugosich.
Mr. Yugosich?
Mr. Yugosich, he was my mentor
How old were you when he became your mentor?
in 73.
In '73. So you were 2 years old at the time, right?
Yeah,
Handling knives.
73, I just came in sweeping the floor. It took about 75 when I really started.
Wait, so you came in there just to sweep the floors, and you end up being the greatest oyster shucker in the greatest oyster town in America.
Yeah.
We were calling him the Drew Brees of oyster
what-
shuckers.
You
up
are
in
the Drew Brees of oyster shuckers.
Uh-huh.
Virginia.
Yeah.
I used to just go clean up behind these guys at Brown Velvet. He had
Yeah.
the milk place right across the street.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
after work, all the guys would come over having beer. He sell beer and smoke a cigarette. That's when you can smoke in a place.
Right. Back, before the city council
You
got
could
involved.
smoke
yeah.
it
Those
while
same people.
shucking oysters?
No. The guys that would be
Coming
drinking.
in. Okay.
I was still in school. I was just coming there after school, helping clean
Right.
up, cause he's from 9 to 4. He never open up at night. No weekends.
Really?
Yeah, Yugosich
That's
was
a
just
lifestyle.
lunch
What
place.
is
It's a
what is
lifestyle.
up with the oyster people that way? Okay, like not the ones in the quarter because they're going after the tourists, but everybody else, like uptown especially, they're hardly ever open. I know I know it has something to do with the season and all that kind of stuff, but like Casamentos, it kills me because I love that place so much.
Why is
And I
what?
crave it, and it's open. What is it open like 4 months a year, 5 months a year, and only like 3 or 4
9 months.
9 months. Okay, it feels like 4, but it's only open like what 4 days a week or something. And
5.
all right,
5
feels like
days
4.
a week.
You're lying.
And what's
No.
the times? What's the times?
And 14
From
hours a day, right? No.
From Tuesday to Wednesday, it's like 11 to 2.
Okay,
Yes, that's what I'm
a little
talking
weird.
about. That's what I'm
Come
talking
on.
about. 3 hours. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
And
So, I mean, we wanted
from
more.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, it's from 11 to 2. From
Okay.
5:30 to 9.
All right, well, that's
Okay.
a little better, but that's still not much.
I know.
And you're saying the same thing about the other place. So, like, what's the deal?
Wait,
Oyster
is that a
places-
traditional thing
Yeah.
or just?
Yeah, the parents, grandparents kind of old. They only went out during the winter months for oysters and never served oysters in the summertime. Probably back then when they didn't have refrigeration. It was only cold
Right.
in those months.
So fresh and cold and
Right.
seasonal.
You really
Yeah.
want to eat oysters when it's cold. In
Yeah.
fact, Michael and I are talking about putting on a little oyster event this January.
Really?
Well, they throw this oyster festival in June, and it's like 100 degrees
I
out,
missed
and
it.
Right. It's
people
not
are out
good.
there. People are out there eating oysters in 90-degree weather, and to me, that's just not very appealing. I'm thinking January is the time you want to be
better.
eating oysters, and people will go outside in the cold weather to eat oysters.
Well,
I'm
can
convinced of
Ray and
that.
I have an oyster eating contest at your festival?
Absolutely.
You'll
In
lose.
fact,
Really?
You can't,
know, I don't know.
You
I
can't
eat a lot.
use your hand.
Yes.
a lot.
You've never
can't
seen me
use your
eat
hand.
though, Ray.
That's a good point.
I
right, you grew
seem
up
like a
here, yeah.
petite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. You got a lot of passion, and you grew up here. Those are the ingredients. I
And
think, for
just I'm
competitive eating.
competitive.
And you're
just
competitive?
to,
Yeah, I can see that.
To run you
Well, let me
into the
tell you
I'm
ground.
what
scared
you might-
now. I'm kind of scared.
let me tell you what you might want to try. Michael does this
I had to
thing
do
that's
something.
unique to any oyster shucker I've ever seen. It's called the airborne oyster.
What?
Michael, tell them about the airborne oyster.
What is that?
It's the oyster where that you stand like about 12 feet away, and I open the oyster and flips it in your mouth.
What the hell? So like the
oyster in
Japanese
my
steakhouse, right?
Yeah.
So the I
He's
think
a
one
hibachi,
I think
Like
one
a
of
hibachi guy.
one little
Why have you ever
thing.
done this for me before? I've been in there 100 times.
I did it for Guy Ferrari on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Oh, so you got to be a celebrity to get this.
Not really. He
No,
did it on
no.
TV in Norfolk with my manager Lacey. She did like a sliding catch, and it was
Wow.
very dramatic. She caught it on
Okay,
TV.
so what's your rate of people catching it? Like, what percentage of people actually get in their mouths and not on their lap or in their ear or whatever?
Maybe 60 to 70%.
Wow. Okay, and that's probably a lot their mistake too.
Yeah,
You're
but-
probably
yeah, because-
you're hitting strikes every time.
Yeah, because they don't
And-
want me to do it
right.
too much. It's too attractive.
Well, at our event, we're going to have a competition to see who can do the longest airborne oyster catch.
Wait, who else does it? Oh, catch.
Catch.
He's gonna be throwing.
Mike's
He's gonna
be the
pitching all of
Mike's
them.
gonna be the
Okay.
one pitching them
'Cause
because
he's the only one that does this.
he's the only one that does this.
Yeah.
But we're gonna see. We're gonna weed people out by how far they can go back and catch them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh
Nice.
man, I love this. Okay, so if A-Rod, remains suspended or whatever, this could be a gimmick for him.
It could be a
Yeah.
gimmick for A-Rod.
Right. This would be kind of up his alley.
I did it in Virginia as a demo. Did a demo of it in Virginia.
Yeah, Marcus Colston, he could catch one.
There
Yeah.
you go.
There we go.
We could have celebrity oyster catchers.
Yes, and see if
The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, we'll see if the skills transfer, right?
Exactly.
Like between being a wide receiver, like does that
Exactly.
help you be a better oyster catcher? Oh man,
So,
this could become like a competitive sport in New Orleans a couple of years now. We're laughing, but it could be born right here, right now.
Yeah, a friend
We'll
of
talk
mine
about
was asking me to open up a shucking school. So I came up with a name,
a shucking school. Yes, what is it?
Oh Shuck You.
Oh, shuck you. Nice.
Let me just tell you one more thing
Copyright
about
that
shuckers.
fast because we're gonna have a bunch of
as far-
listeners. Someone else is gonna open one tomorrow.
I've had several women inquire about oyster shucking. What New Orleans does not have that I know of is a woman oyster shucker. If there's a woman out there that wanted to
The
become an
last
oyster shucker,
glass ceiling.
I'm going to tell you,
The oyster
they
ceiling.
could make so much money. A good woman oyster shucker
In a
could
bikini?
kill it.
Yeah, just kidding.
Look,
I just ruined the whole thing.
oysters are
Here
an
you are making a feminist
aphrodisiac, and
manifesto, and I ruin it like that
Women
by
could,
objectifying.
a woman oyster shucker. Now let me just tell y'all. I know this isn't about me, but I've only
Aphrodisiac
before
oyster,
this show, I've only talked in public once in my life, and it was in debate. When you're a kid, you have to do a debate thing in school, and I didn't want to have to talk, but I wanted to do something with my hands. So I spent several nights in the French Quarter when I was in 8th grade, and
Where's this
I
going?
learned how to shuck oysters.
What?
So I got up there in front of my whole class and
Yeah.
shucked oysters.
Wow. How many
And,
did you shuck?
Oh,
About
just a
6?
few. Yeah, just a few. I mean, it really was all about just being able to
Yeah,
do
to
it
do
once.
Right.
but-
right.
Wait, so you're the first female oyster shucker,
Well,
but you didn't get discovered.
Well,
I
no,
could
you need to be able to
relive
It's like
that.
shuck.
Josh Gibson in the Negro Leagues or something like that. It's like you toil at this, and then like you don't become famous because of
well, I didn't
discrimination.
toil, but I would.
It's because you're a woman. That's
If you're
why.
looking for a female
Oh.
apprentice, I believe in apprenticeship. So
Wow.
Well, we need to get you up to where you can do 3,000 over the course of a 3-day
that
weekend.
takes
no.
no.
It takes a
I
little
mean,
practice.
takes a little
It takes a
practice.
strong wrist.
A strong
Wow.
wrist. Yeah, that's the thing too. Let's see. Like,
No.
bowlers. A lot of times, professional bowlers have like a gut, and they don't look athletic at all. But then they have this really cut right arm or whatever it is from all the bowling. What do you have from oyster shucking? What muscle do you have? That's oh my gosh, look at
It's
that.
that forearm.
Oh,
Is
dude,
that
yeah.
what causes? Is that the aphrodisiac in oysters, the shucker?
Right.
Or is that true that oysters really have
Treat them
the?
like a lady. They're open easy. You treat them hard, they're going to give you a hard time.
Life
Here's a
advice.
very important thing to know about a shuck. To be a good shucker, you not only have to know how to open oysters, but you got to be a jiver as well. That was my downfall. I wasn't much of a jiver. I was a very grumpy oyster shucker. But I got called one day to do a commercial for Blue Runner Beans. This guy called me up and said, "Hey, we're looking for an oyster shucker to come do this commercial." I said, "Look, I'll tell you what. I'll come over, but I'm going to bring you somebody. You don't want me. you want my buddy Michael. So I brought Michael over. Next thing you know, Michael's on the
That's
Blue
right.
Runner
You are in
beans.
those commercials.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes.
So I got him that gig, and I gave it up. I gave up
That
my
could've
chance
been
to
you,
start him.
Woody.
It could have been me, but I tell
get
you,
the
I just
Blue
don't.
Runner Red
I don't have the
Beans.
personality.
Yeah, he would have run Blue Runner into the ground. It was good.
So you want to hear a line?
What's that?
Want to hear a line?
Yes.
After shucking oysters hard all day, so when I get home, all I want to do is open up a can of Blue Runner's Red Beans.
And I'll tell you, the
Do all
guy.
the soaking and slow cooking for you.
The guy met the guy met Michael, and Michael did his little audition. And I think just to be nice to me, he said, "All right, do you want to, say some of the lines?" And I said one line. He goes, "Okay, thanks."
He didn't give you.
This
He
is
didn't give you
the
time to finish it.
aphrodisiac part.
Yeah.
You know what they say about oysters, huh? Maybe it's true about beans too.
Wow.
All right. Well, we have to ask y'all now
Yep.
some questions from this book that came out a little after, 10 years after you first started shucking oysters, from the 1980s. So can you give us your favorite number, Michael, between 1 and 200?
We're starting with the guests this time, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to start
Switch
with
it
the
out.
guest. And I'm going to let
Plus
you
one.
read it.
I'm going to read it? Oh,
Yes.
okay. Wow, we're just mixing everything up tonight.
So,
My favorite number?
yeah, between
Yeah.
1 and
you know,
217.
just, he used to give out these numbers and people just be enjoying their eating up in a restaurant talking. And I have to call out number 22 and they'll be raising their hands. And when I say 6 to 9, they get all excited.
All right.
I bet
Here we
you're
go.
not
all
the
right,
first one to choose that.
69.
All right, we got it.
Yeah.
Oh, my favorite number.
Your favorite number is 69. Okay.
This is not a sexy question, I don't think.
Let's see. If a friend were almost always late, oh boy, this is dull. Would you resent it or simply allow for it? Can you be counted on to be on time? The guy that wrote this book's not from New Orleans, I can tell. Yeah. Everybody's late here. It's like, what? What's late mean? So does it bother you when people are late?
Sometimes, but not most of the time if they're really, really late.
Are you really late sometimes?
No.
You're pretty punctual, right?
Yeah.
If you're the boss, it bugs the heck out of you. I can tell you that.
So what times does it bother you? When does it bother you most when somebody's late? Late for what? What bugs you the most?
Yeah, well, when I'm busy shucking oysters for the customers, and they're supposed to have another shucker for CJ, and he's not there, so I can't shuck. They just close my bar down, and I just have to shuck for the kitchen and for the sugar oysters.
That's no fun because then you're not interacting with the public either and stuff. And
Yeah, because
right.
they be really wanting to eat at the bar, and
Right.
I can't serve them there.
Now, how does that work? You're back there, and you're not the one serving people. The servers are getting the oysters. So you get a share of the tips too, or
Yeah, I have my own share.
oh, you get your own share. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was just wondering about that. Okay, your turn.
77.
77.
That's my
all right.
old college football number.
Okay, you're going for double holy right there. Okay, 7-7. Do you? Oh, college football. We got to ask about that in a second. Okay, I almost missed that. Do you feel ill at ease going alone to either dinner or a movie? What about going on a vacation by yourself? You ever do anything by yourself?
I do so much by myself. I do not feel ill at ease doing anything by myself. But I did get a little tired of going on vacation myself because I've been to so many really awesome, amazing places by myself. Sometimes you feel like I just want to share this with somebody.
Yeah.
And especially this beach house in Mexico that I have access to. I've been down there by myself like 3 or 4 times, and I said I'm not going back unless I bring some friends with me.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah,
It's like
it's-
tree
it's
falls in the woods. Nobody hears
Exactly.
it.
No one believes
you
you when you
really?
tell them
Right.
how amazing it is. But let me tell you, this house in Mexico is in Tulum on the beach, and it's amazing.
Well, who would you like to go with? If you could bring somebody with you.
I'd like to bring my dog with me. But,
Again,
you
the
can't-
dog. Okay.
Yeah,
we decide,
yeah.
what are they,
But if you could invite any person right now, who would you?
Any one person right now. I'd invite my friend Catherine, who's sitting over there.
all right.
But she's so busy lately that I can't get out of town.
She looks like she'd enjoy Mexico, though.
Yeah,
you ought to
yeah,
ask
she'd
her
enjoy-
afterwards.
She'd
yeah.
enjoy Mexico.
Yeah. Well, I saw you invite somebody to something once. Can I talk about this? Can I mention this?
Absolutely.
Okay. So this is I was astounded this day. It was at the farmers market. Love the farmers market so much. Crescent City we talked about. I'm there and I run into I see Jennifer Coolidge. She looks exactly like Stifler's mom. No difference whatsoever. Looks the same as she did 10 years ago, right? So I said something goofy to her, like, "Oh, I'm a big fan," or so. I can't remember what I said, but I got a picture of her. And then I'm walking past your thing, and she's making fun of me to you. Said, I just met this loser over there and said he's my biggest fan or something. Or there was my biggest fan. I can't remember what it was. And then you guys were talking and laughing, and I went over to buy some food, and I did something else. I come back like 20 minutes later, you're still talking to her. And you're not making any tacos. You got somebody else making the tacos, and you're like really into her. And then like an hour went by or something. It went up forever. And then went by, and I said, what happened? And you went, I asked her to the Mom's Ball. And I never heard, and I never asked you what the aftermath. Did you guys end up going to the Mom's Ball together?
We didn't go to the Mom's Ball together. Jennifer's kind of tough to tie down, but she was very interested in going to the Mom's Ball.
Well, I could tell, yeah, because she was hanging out with you for like an hour.
She's become a good friend of mine.
Okay,
in fact, we just
was that the day you met?
I believe it might have been the day that we met.
So it might have been me even.
So you could invite her to Loom.
I could invite.
If your friend over here can't go.
I could invite Jennifer to Tulum. She's dating a guy. I just went to we just did a party at her house. Ever since that connection at the farmers market. Whenever she calls me, usually about 24 hours before she's having a party for like 20 to 30 people, and asks me if I can do the party for her.
No, this is the actress.
This is the actress,
Okay.
Jennifer
she's in
Coolidge.
all like the Best in Show and like all those movies. What's the name of the guy who makes all
Christopher
those movies?
Guest.
Christopher
Yeah,
Guest.
yeah.
She's like in all the recent
She's
Christopher
amazing.
Guest movies.
Okay.
She's great.
She's a character, and she's become a good friend of mine, and she calls me when she comes to town. She usually loses my number, can't find it. Calls me about 24 hours before she needs me, and I try to make myself available for her.
So do you make fish tacos for her? Do you other stuff?
Yeah,
too,
no,
or-
we usually make fish tacos and whatever, other little
Have you
tidbits
had
she wants.
Michael? Has Michael shucked oysters?
Michael has not shucked oysters at her house yet, but
Because I think that would be a
I think
great
it would. I
addition
think it would
to
too.
her party repertoire.
yeah.
I mean,
With her, all it takes is, hey, I can bring an oyster shucker for you too. Maybe the problem is when I'm really busy, and my busy season is when Michael's busy season is. So he's working at Casamento's a lot of times, and it's a Saturday night, and I can't get him to work because he's got a regular job. So I've got a few other guys that I call on to come shuck for me as well.
Well, now I should have clarified, or somebody should have at the beginning of this. Maybe some of our listeners don't know this; they're not familiar, and we have people around the country too, so it's not just New Orleans. So. Your business is not. You don't have a brick establishment, brick and mortar place. It's you're at festivals and at markets, and you have a couple regular gigs you do. I know, like the Ferret Market, and you're in the cycle with Crescent City, and then you do private parties. But that's how you roll, right? You don't have
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
all your equipment is basically like what, in a truck, basically.
Yeah,
right?
well, I have a van that we transport things around. I actually have two vans that we transport things around because we've gotten to where we can do. Definitely 2 and sometimes 3 events simultaneously.
Really?
I have enough equipment, and usually I can get enough helpers to help out with that. And we just roll. We'll start at the last weekend of August here coming up, and then we'll go straight through till about the week before Christmas, and we'll be out probably on average of 2 or 3 times a week doing something.
So where does the fish come from? Where do you get it?
I get my fish from American Seafood Company.
Okay.
They're out in Gentilly.
Okay.
It's a family-run business. The people that run the business are just fantastic, great people.
And they're catching it locally, I guess, right?
They buy from fishermen that catch the fish locally.
Right.
All within probably a 100-mile radius of New Orleans. I got turned on to them by my friend Anthony Montalbano, who owns Two Tony's Restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
He used to be my fishing partner. Every Monday, Anthony and I used to go fishing down in Hopedale. And when I started up this business, Anthony said, hey, give American Seafood a call. And at the time, I was really small, and they were the only company out there that really wanted my business. And as I've grown, they've been able to accommodate me, and they provide me with a beautiful, fresh product. And they,
So
I
they
can call.
deliver it, or you go up there and get it?
I go
or
up
how?
there and pick it up. I mean, I really like Leon. She's the kind of the office manager there, and the partner.
does
of
she have
the
a
owner.
daughter?
She does
I'm
have
just
a. She
teasing.
does have a
I'm
daughter.
just teasing you.
But a young daughter, a very young daughter.
You always
No, no.
notice the daughters.
No. Leon's daughter is off limits. She's, I think, in high school. But
Yeah, you gotta have some
I go
limits. You gotta have some boundaries, Woody.
No, Leon's a real good friend of mine, and I go up there and I just chat with her and I get the fish, and it's the type of company. They're not open on Sundays, but I could call them on Saturday night at midnight and say, I'm in a bind, and the owner of the company will show up on Sunday morning and cut me 50 pounds of fish.
Wow.
So that's where I get my fish from. I went away from them for like a month, and it was a bad experience, and I realized that, if it seems too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
All right. So what are you gonna say?
So I'm learning something new this summer.
What's
How
that?
to cook. I learned how to cook gator.
Gator.
Drum.
Yeah, Mike cooked it. Mike cooked at an event we did down at Dirty Linden night 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and we've introduced a new taco out in Virginia. It's a alligator pork sausage taco.
An alligator
And shrimp.
pork sausage taco.
It's we get bulk sausage
Blackened
from
fish.
Creole Country Sausage, who puts out an amazing product, and they're another local salt of the earth New Orleans family run company, and they sell me this bulk sausage, and it cooks up like ground meat, so it's really easy to portion. And you're going to find that people outside of New Orleans go nuts when they see the word alligator because of these shows that are on TV. So up in Virginia, they are waiting in line for like an hour and a half to eat our alligator taco. And we also did a duck and chicken sausage taco as well.
Oh, nice.
And so I think we're going to add them to the
This is up in
taco.
Virginia.
This was the first time I did it was up in Virginia, but I'm going to bring it into New Orleans now. I used to do a slow roasted pork taco, but in the hot months,
Do you drive your truck all the
too
way up
much.
there, or do you have something local you use?
The people that put on the event up in Norfolk actually paid for a truck to transport all our equipment up there.
Oh, wow.
And also paid for a bus to transport some of the staff up there, and then we drove a van up. So I had a 10-person contingent and also contracted to bring 6,000 pounds of crawfish up there, of which we sold every single crawfish.
Wait, you carted 6,000 pounds
Well,
of
we
crawfish up
we
there?
trucked
They
it
did?
up. We had a truck up there. In fact, American Seafood arranged to have that delivered for me up there.
Wow.
So I went through them. I mean, that because that was a big stress for me. I was like, how am I going to get 6,000 pounds of crawfish to Virginia? And I told.
I mean, how many pounds of fish do you go through when you do, like, say, the Fret Market or something? How many pounds of fish you do? Like 50 pounds?
Yeah, 50 pounds.
So
would be-
6,000 is not the scale you're used to, right? I mean, that's
Well, no,
big.
I'm talking about 6,000 pounds of crawfish for
Just
that
the
event.
crawfish?
Just crawfish. I mean, for fish for that event, maybe we went through a couple hundred pounds of fish
And
at that
3,000
event.
oysters, that was the same one?
That was the same one.
We all have
Golly.
a different booth.
We had 4 different
okay.
booths. I was running 4 booths at that event.
So
Man,
this-
were you stressed out about that? I know you seem kind of chilled. That would freak me out.
I was a little stressed out beforehand, but once it gets running, it's one of those things like once an event starts, it's like a avalanche. You can't stop it. It takes on its own life, and it just goes. All you got to do is kind of direct it and get out of the way.
So, Woody, how did you get to where you're at? I mean, you're mysterious to me. Okay, so you have an MBA from Emory, right?
That's correct.
Prestigious school in Atlanta, we know, right? And you are from New York. And what else did you do? Didn't you do like marketing or planning for the Olympics in 96?
I was in corporate sales. I went and got my MBA.
Corporate sales is not, you do not look like you're in corporate sales.
I used to walk around with a briefcase
that as a
and
compliment,
a
yeah.
suit and tie.
Yeah.
I went to get my MBA. While I was getting my MBA, I realized I wanted no part of the corporate world. I went to graduate school in Atlanta because the Olympics were going to be there, and I wanted to get involved with the Olympics. At the time, I thought I wanted to be a corporate sponsorship,
Now, how old are you at
marketing
this
guy.
point when this is going on?
I was 33 years old, I think, back then.
Okay.
Something like that.
So you're older than you look.
I
Okay.
took a semester while I was in graduate school. I took a semester and went to Australia because I played that to where Sydney got awarded the next Olympic Games after Atlanta. And so I said, hey, I want to get involved in the Olympics, and Sydney got awarded the Olympics, so I want to go over and take a semester in
That way you
Australia.
don't have to work every 4 years.
Exactly. I got to Australia, and all I did was fish. And I rediscovered my love for fishing, which led me directly to the whole fish taco world, because that's what happened. I came back to New Orleans. When I moved to New Orleans after this whole experience in graduate school and having found my love for fishing in Australia, and I started fishing in New Orleans. And because I had fish all the time, then I came up with the whole fish taco concept. And then, several years later, it became my vocation.
So you've been hooked on the fish your whole life, and yet you didn't start selling them professionally until your mid 40s, right? Early 40s.
The early 40s, mid 40s. Yeah. The thing was, as a young child, my father used to take me fishing, and I kind of, through late high school years, college years, corporate years, I didn't fish at all. I was living in Chicago. I mean, there wasn't a lot of opportunity to fish up in Chicago. But it was when I went back to Australia, and I met this man in this town about 5 hours north of Sydney, and he just kind of showed me the way again. Like I spent about a month straight, where when you fish over a course of 2 or 3 weeks, you develop the cycle for the tides and the moon and how the fish react to all the different elements, and you start to kind of feel at one with nature, and you really get it into your blood. Like, this is how you catch fish. You understand it. And I kind of brought that back to New Orleans, and I would go fishing in Grand Isle, and I usually catch
Are
fish.
you able to do that now? I mean, now that you're So you've gotten so busy and big with your business. Are you able to take time off and do that or no?
During the busy seasons, not as much as I'd like to, but I'm trying to develop a manager for my business so that I can step away from a lot of the smaller things and free my time up to do volunteer work. I really enjoy doing events over at the Edible Schoolyard. I've got
Green
several
School.
of the people that have helped me out in business work over at the Edible Schoolyard, and I go over there and I do events with the kids, different third graders and seventh graders. Did an Iron Chef competition over there last year.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about that.
We had like 7 chefs out there. They gave us a table full of goods, and we had to make a specialty.
What was yours?
Take one guess.
I've never seen the show.
Well, we were allowed to bring one ingredient of our own, and I brought remoulade sauce.
Oh, nice.
And they had tortillas there, and so the kids the kids wanted to make a spaghetti taco. And I said, well, I don't know if that'll impress the judges. So we ended up making a ground turkey taco.
Nice.
And I was actually told by one of the judges that we should have won, but we ended up not winning.
So this was on TV. You made the cut and all
that.
Yeah,
no, this is just at the Edible Schoolyard with 7th
graders. I thought
yeah.
this was for the real show. Okay, I got it.
So
I gotcha.
we did a it was just a little fun day at the Edible Schoolyard.
Well, I want to ask, because Michael, you have a similar schedule with, seasonal. Casamentos is closed. Do you enjoy fishing, or do you have something that you make time for when you're not working so hard?
No, I don't like fishing.
You don't like fishing?
I don't like water.
You don't like water?
But I do like music.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So do you have the opportunity to go out and hear music as much as you would like?
Yeah, I get out and go to, clubs. And sometimes they let me have the mic, sing a song or something.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Mike knows all the oldies.
Do you play any instruments?
So where have you sung before?
In the clubs uptown.
Yeah. Well, which ones?
His and Hers, Detour.
Yeah.
Some clubs that's probably not around.
Okay.
Now.
What do you like to sing? Can you give us a little...
Teddy Pendergrass?
Oh, come on. Can you
Dude, give us one line. Come on, one line, a cappella. Can you do it?
Let's see.
I know it's hard without it.
I believe the time is sure to come when we all get together and share this world as one. Woo!
Woody, can you sing?
Not very well.
You're blushing. We won't make you do
actually
it.
sing all right.
So you heard of Teddy
I was in the
Pendergrass?
all-district chorus when I was in.
That was good.
You can sing.
When I was in elementary school, I was a little bit of a discipline, problem for some teachers, and my music teacher put me in the all-district chorus. I think to
get you in
Soften
line.
you up.
yeah, something. I don't know what it was. It softened me up a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was actually a good idea on her part. It worked a little bit.
Wow. Well, we're down to 2 minutes. You guys have anything you need to plug? Any upcoming ventures?
Well, this event that I'm going to do in January, it's still not completely official yet. When it becomes official, we'll let you guys know. But we're going to bust out a fried oyster taco.
Fried oyster taco.
Fried oyster taco. Let me tell you, it's the bomb. It's the bomb.
Oh man, I have.
Will you bring
I
it
want-
on
yeah,
the
I
show?
wanna go into hibernation
Can
till
we,
January.
Can we have them on? Have y'all on? And
Oh, we'd love to come on like the Monday before, or bring some food in for
Yeah.
you. Give you a little
That'll
sample.
work.
That would be
great.
amazing.
I'll be more fun on Sunday and Monday.
Okay.
You're off on Sundays and Mondays. Well, you're off almost every day if you're at Casamentos, right?
Almost.
Well, it feels like that to him. In reality,
Thursdays
it's
and
not.
Fridays and Saturdays is a killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
enough work
Because
for a whole
those
week.
people be in that line and we close up at 2. We probably won't leave there till about 4 sometime and have to be right back at
Oh, wow.
5.
Well, here's the thing. Could you work like 50, 60 hours a week shucking oysters? It would be too demanding physically, right? I mean, you'd be like, you'd break a vertebrae or something at that point, right? Like what?
Probably would, yeah. I love that, though.
Yeah.
I love to be busy.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we're out of time, Margo. That raced by. Gosh. All right. Well, maybe we'll have you back in January. That sounds like that would.
Well,
be
yeah.
great
If you
before
have
the
Michael
event.
back, have Michael back as your main guest, and he can bring a +1.
That's it. Okay, good. Yeah, we wonder who that'll be. All right.
Okay.
Man, that would be a first too. Somebody bringing oysters to the show. We've had wine before. Some wine guests brought wine, but Oysters would be amazing. Fried oyster taco. I can't wait. Well, looks like we are out of time, unfortunately. Our special guest tonight on Midnight Menu Plus One was Woody, just Woody of Woody's Fish Tacos. And his plus one was Michael Rogers of Casamentos and other fame, champion oyster shucker of New Orleans. You can find out about their ventures and about Woody's Fish Tacos on our website on itsneworleans.com. We'll be posting that as soon as we post the show. Our show is recorded live at Ted's Frost Top on Claiborne Avenue in Calhoun in Uptown New Orleans. Ted's is open 7 days a week, serving first-class burgers, beer, and their awesome homemade root beer in a frosty mug. Midnight Menu Plus One is produced by Grant Morris, and Chris Keogh is our technical director. And this fabulous audio quality that you hear is by PreSonus Audio Electronics. Makes all kinds of wonderful things. Visit presonus.com for more information. You can get in touch with us here at Midnight Menu Plus One by going to our website, itsneworleans.com, and from there you can follow us on Twitter, find us on Facebook, sign up for our mailing list, get all kinds of swag. And while you're at itsneworleans.com, you can listen to other episodes of Midnight Menu Plus One and our other shows, Happy Hour, Mindset, True to the Game, Vietnola, Out to Lunch, and others. And if you listen to the show on iTunes, please rate us and review us. It helps other people to find us. Midnight Menu Plus One is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. We meet here again at Ted's Frost Top. I am Ray Canada.
And I'm Margot Moss. Thanks.
Good night.
You know Labor Day signals the unofficial end of summer, but not the end of your outdoor projects. Lowe's helps you do it right and helps you save with Labor Day deals throughout the store. Shop now and get 2 bags of Stay Green potty mix for $12. And keep your lawn looking neat and trim with a Craftsman 2-cycle 17-inch gas string trimmer, now $20 off at just $119. Whatever's still on your to-do list this Labor Day, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offers valid through 8/28. Soil offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii. U.S. only.